All right, hello, ladies. So I was trying to use a different software just a few minutes ago. Okay, there we are. Just a few minutes ago, and it didn't work, so I'm going live straight inside of the Facebook group. So welcome to the live. If you're here, I am Coach Steph, registered dietitian, personal trainer, mindset transformation coach. This live is going to be about toxic relationship with food and how to identify if you indeed actually have a toxic relationship with food. So I'm going to give you just a few tips today on how you can identify that. But as you're hopping on, say hello. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. If you're watching live, say hello. I can see you guys' comments. Sorry for the delay, y'all. For those of you that are hopping on, I was trying to go through another software and it wasn't coming through on the live. So I just went ahead and went straight inside the group. So I see 3 people hopped on. If you're on, say hi. Hi, Donna. Okay, cool. So I am live. So welcome, ladies. I'm going to talk about this topic because I think I hear a lot of these phrases a lot in terms of like, I ate bad today, right? And we're going to talk about some signs that you might have a toxic relationship with food. Just to give you guys an update though, first on some things that you can be looking for coming up. I am working on a podcast. So I'm going to have a Fit Figure Formula podcast coming soon, hopefully sometime in the summer. The reason why I'm late for this live is because I was testing out software that streams into Facebook, and then I can use some of that audio for my podcast. It didn't quite work the way I thought it was going to, which is why I just came straight into the Facebook group instead. So I'm just testing out some softwares. I'm kind of figuring out how logistically I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to hire my daughter to be my podcast manager and help me out with some of the admin stuff. So be on the lookout for that. I'm very excited about that. Y'all, I am going to be speaking in Baltimore. This is my very first live speaking engagement. I am so excited. I cannot even tell you. So if you are someone that you know is looking for someone to speak to, like church groups or has a conference, especially if it's like a women empowerment conference, y'all know I'm all over that. I've even done some virtual events inside of other coaches' coaching programs. So if you want like guest coaching, I'm open for that as well. So I will be just letting you guys follow along when I go to Baltimore. This is in July. And check out the speaking engagement virtually. So I'm very excited about that as well. And then, of course, the Fit Figure Formula is open for enrollment. You have 5 more days to book a call. So I've had a couple of ladies reach out today and yesterday asking questions like, how much is it? What is it like? Is it on Zoom? What's the time commitment? All those things, all great questions. If you have those questions, book a call and we can talk about what it looks like. What is it like to be coached inside of my group? How does it work? How does it run? All that good stuff. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. But I do require that you book a call with me because I like to, number one, make sure that I can help you and that you're in the right space. And I also just protect my own community. We want to make sure that everyone kind of is on the same page. We got a good vibe going, and so you do have to book a call. So if you're interested, if you're like, I've been seeing you go live, I really need help. I keep stopping and starting. I keep bumping my head against the same brick wall every single time or every few months, and you really want some help that is like a different perspective, I'm going to totally teach you macros. I am. I'm going to teach you how to master your food, but I'm also going to help you make powerful decisions, right? And that first call is really about who are you? What do you want? How can I help you? And is this a really good fit? And then, of course, you can ask me any questions that you want. So we get started Monday, 7 p.m. CST will be our first call. So if you're interested, you can book a call. I think it should be pinned in the comments. So you can just click that link if you guys are wanting to join the Fit Figure Formula, because we're starting. This is the second to last time that you have the opportunity to join us, because we will, the program is 16 weeks. So this is our second cohort. We only have 1 more for this year after this. So let me know if you're interested in that. All right. Hey, Denise. All right. So we're talking about toxic relationship with food. So I'm just going to give you a few tips on how you can identify if you have a toxic relationship with food. So probably the number one way is if you are labeling foods as good or bad. So the truth is that any food can fit in your plan. Now, notice that I said fit in your plan. That assumes that you actually have a plan, right? That assumes that you have already kind of synthesized the numbers in terms of like, how many calories should I be having? How many grams of protein should I be having? And then you can fit your Snickers bar, your cookie, your piece of bread, your whatever you're wanting into that formula. But you have to know overall, big picture, what's my overall goal? Because if you don't know that, then it feels like you're just kind of willy-nilly like picking stuff. So anything can fit in your goal. And so people always ask me like, tell me what to eat. Tell me what not to eat. And I'm like, I never tell my clients, you can't eat this. Like, don't eat this. I never say those words because number one, we focus on abundance mindset, which is a little bit different from most diets, right? Most diets focus on what you cannot have. And they tell you, you can't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat that. All that does is make you want to have it even more. So I really focus on, okay, these are the foods that we want to highly focus on. Your water, your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains. And we're going to focus our energy and our thoughts so much on planning that and getting that in that it naturally displaces the energy that you're going to be giving to other foods that don't serve your goals, right? But it does not mean that you can't have your Snickers or you can't have your cookie, your ice cream. So in my program, we start week one, very, very simple. We teach a certain concept. I give my clients a formula to kind of follow, and then we practice the next week. And then we learn something that week, and then we practice both of those the next week. And so it builds on each other. And I think that's really important because I'm not trying to change your entire diet all in one day. You get to plan the foods that you actually like. You don't like eggs? Great. Don't plan in eggs, right? So it's really important that you know that no food is off limits, but any food can fit into your plan, assuming that you actually have a plan and you have an idea of how many calories you're actually supposed to have so that you know what else to have with it. So why do I say any food can fit into your plan? Because no one food will make or break your diet, right? It matters most what you actually have with it. So can I have a Snickers? Sure, I can have a Snickers because I know that that Snickers bar is not my total calorie level. So if I plan in a treat into my day, then what else am I having? What am I having for my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner, or my other snacks? I can prioritize having protein, having my water, having my veggies, and prioritize my snack, and I can work that in. But again, it's important for you to know your overall goal, because if you don't know that, then you will feel some kind of way about adding in a Snickers because you have no idea how many calories you're actually eating. So anything can fit in your plan. So labeling foods as good or bad or don't have this doesn't really make sense when you know how to put together your plate, because anything can fit. It just depends on how you have structured your meals for that day. Okay, so that's number one. If you're labeling foods as good or bad, that is a relationship with food that is not going to serve you, right? That mindset is not going to serve you, okay? Number two, having guilt over eating certain food. And this stems from labeling food as good or bad. Because if you think that I'm not supposed to have bread, I'm not supposed to have ice cream, and you have that, then that gives you a feeling of guilt, sometimes shame, and it makes you feel like you did something wrong. So if you have ever eaten something and felt guilt or shame, put a comment in the comment box, right? If you've ever done that, you can say me, I've done that. If you are feeling like I ate something, and sometimes it's the fact that I ate it, and sometimes it's the fact that I know I ate too much of something, right? Especially if you already had labeled that food as bad, you might think, okay, then I know it's not going to be helpful for my goals, right? But you creating a feeling of guilt, like what you do out of guilt, the actions that you take out of guilt are never going to actually help you get to your goal. So even if it's true, you overate, right? You overate and you way overshot your calories. feeling of guilt does not help you take action that is going to rectify that, right? And so sometimes grace is the feeling that we want to create instead. Sometimes it's ownership and just really taking account of like, okay, this is the decision that I made, and taking full ownership of that. Radical ownership over your own decisions. That puts you in an empowered position so that then you can make a better decision next time. But guilt is never really going to get you there. Guilt usually will make you over-exercise later or not eat your dinner. You know, I have a client who really struggles with this, and sometimes when she eats something that she deems as bad, she like doesn't eat dinner, right? And it's like that is never the right way to go about it, because to be honest, number one, the food itself that you ate is not the problem. It's our mindset about the food that we ate that is really what causes you to spiral even more. Like, say, for example, you had ice cream, right? If you just had the ice cream and you were like, dang, I had ice cream. That wasn't in my plan. I probably overate calories. And you gave yourself grace and compassion, and the next meal you got back to your plan. That mindset serves you more than wallowing in guilt about eating the food. So it's not the food itself. It is your thoughts about you having the food. Okay? That's why we really have to like monitor our self-talk and the emotions that those thoughts are actually creating in our body, right? So guilt is not going to help you to make progress. It is only going to actually fuel a certain level of spiraling out of control. Okay, so number one was labeling food as good or bad. Number two was creating that feeling of guilt by the thoughts that you're thinking about your food. And then number three is at times when that does happen, you do eat something that quote unquote you shouldn't have. Sometimes I've had clients who over-exercise because they ate something quote unquote bad. Or they may skip a meal because they ate something quote unquote bad. And here's the really interesting thing. Most of my clients who come to me, and we've never coached before, actually need to eat more instead of less. So imagine this, okay? You ate ice cream, or you had the cheesecake, or you went out to eat, and you overate. So you think, right? You overate. But again, you don't really know if you overate anyway, because if you don't really have a plan for your food and don't know how many calories you should be eating. But we label food, so now it's bad, and we ate something that we shouldn't have, quote unquote, and you actually don't realize that you actually need more calories. So I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. In the Fit Figure formula that we just had, have a lady who just graduated from the program, and she was eating around 1,300, 1,200 calories before she started working with me. So she was under eating because that should have been a calorie deficit for her, and she wasn't losing weight. So that means that she needed to be eating more food. So we incrementally increased her calorie level, and she lost a little bit of weight, but her measurement, she lost almost 4 inches on her waist, almost 4 inches on her hips. And her pictures, side by side, before and after pictures, you could definitely tell a difference. And in our mind, right, we would think, oh my God, I need to eat less. I shouldn't eat that ice cream, But actually, she's seeing more progress by eating more than she has been by just eating those 1,300 calories. Another thing that I see a lot too that I don't even have on my notes is like when you guys maybe eat something that you think is not good, and then you immediately go get on the scale. You go and get on the scale to see if you gain any weight from that food, right? And it doesn't even work like that. A lot of times it might take a little bit. I always tell my clients, like, let's say they go somewhere and it's like they have a weekend and they just go and blow it. They just eat, they drink, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I want us to remember this, because they got home. They're like, oh yeah, I ate, I drank, I did too much this weekend. I know I did. And I got on the scale on Sunday and it wasn't that bad. And I'm like, okay, just remember this. I just want you to remember that it doesn't immediately show up on the scale. So a week and a half later, I just want us to remember this, not in a shameful way, but just so you remember that like it doesn't always immediately show up on the scale. And going back to my point of like not feeling guilty about that, like again, if you wallow in guilt and shame about that and let you spiral throughout the week, you're not going to recover from that, right? Until a few weeks later, and then you have to start all over. Versus having the mindset of, okay, this weekend I did not show up the way that I wanted to. That's okay. How can I get back on track on Monday? Right? That level of grace and compassion is going to help you a lot more than holding yourself to an unrealistic standard as if you will never have ice cream or never have cake or never overeat or overdrink ever. Okay? So back to my point about some of you guys think that you're overeating and you're not supposed to eat certain things, but I would say 80% of my clients need to actually be incrementally eating more food and not less. And that's the reason why they've been stuck. Multiple clients. Okay. So number 4, you have kind of like an F it mentality. So it's like, I ate this cheesecake, so I might as well have this and this and this and this and this. Right? So that another example of a toxic relationship with food. So just because you ate the cheesecake or you ate the ice cream or you ate a whole loaf of bread doesn't mean that now you've ruined everything and I might as well just eat whatever I want now. No. If you had just eaten the cheesecake and went on about your business, it wouldn't have even been a problem, right? Again, it's your thoughts about you eating the thing that is more problematic than eating the actual thing. So y'all let me know if this is making sense, okay? So having that mentality, which is like an all or nothing mentality, is one of the things that might be keeping you stuck. Okay. And so kind of my second point, this is like a 5.5 or a 4.1, is I have to eat all clean or all bad. So if you're eating well and all of a sudden you have something, it's like, okay, well, either I'm supposed to be eating all clean or all bad. And I want you to know, and this is frustrating, I think, for maybe people to hear, but like everything in moderation. But it really is true. You can have anything that you want to have. You just have to know what else you're eating throughout your day. Okay. So I don't ever, like I said, I don't ever tell my clients not to eat certain things. But the bigger thing is, do I have a plan? Do I know how many calories I should be eating? Do I know how much protein I'm supposed to be eating? What's my plan? What's my structure? What times have I intentionally set throughout the day to make sure that I reach those goals? And how can I divide up my calories? You know, the 3 meals and one snack that I'm going to have. How can I divide up those calories in a way that feels good to me, in a way that matches with my schedule? And then if I want to have a treat, I can put that treat in because I know how many calories I'm supposed to have in the day. And now I don't feel guilty. Now I don't have the effort mentality because I now know that I didn't mess up anything. I'm just enjoying my life, right? If you guys saw what I eat on a regular basis, you'd probably be like, what? Right? Because I don't eat like a bird. I have a history, like, especially when I was younger, y'all, I used to eat a lot. A lot. And I mean, you know, everyone has a different history. I played college basketball and, you know, obviously it's a lot of athletics involved, but my point is I want you to know that the thing that is keeping you spiraling, especially for those of you who have issues with emotional eating, and you're creating all this negative emotion around your food, all of those negative emotions that you might have about food, about your body, come from your thoughts. And if you are not putting in place a way to manage your thoughts and your mindset, you will continue to create the exact same circumstance, the exact same result, because no matter what diet you do, you will approach it with the same mentality and it will become the same result. That's the major thing that needs to change, and that is the major thing that if you'll be successful in my program or not. If you decide that you will work on your mindset, if you continue to do that consistently, I promise you, you'll learn how to make powerful decisions in your life and with your food, and that makes the ultimate difference. When you can be really confident in yourself that, no, I can manage my mindset, I can manage the food that goes in my mouth, I understand why I'm putting my plate together the way that I am, that kind of gives you the confidence to have more freedom with your food, right? You don't want to be scared every time you go to eat that I'm going to eat something bad or this is going to make me gain weight. And it just causes a lot of anxiety in some of my clients. So if you see yourself in any of these examples, especially the one where you eat something and then you get on the scale and you're constantly like scared to eat or feeling guilty about eating something, you're trying to like, see, did I do something bad? Did I do something bad? Let me go get on the scale. So the scale can tell me whether or not I'm doing something bad. But if you see yourself in that, then working on your mindset, which is something that I heavily teach in my program, is going to really help you to create a sustained approach. One thing that I was talking about in another live I did is about, like, number one, not being in a rush. And people always say, I want this to be a lifestyle, but they don't really actually look at that word, lifestyle. This is the way I live my life, and it is not just about a 16-week program. So when you join a 16-week program like mine, you're not just paying for a 16-week program. You're paying for the skill set that you're learning in 16 weeks to carry you throughout your life. That is what you are paying for. So don't think of it as, okay, I'm just doing this 16 weeks. It is, no, I'm learning something for 16 weeks. I'm going to have a supportive community, a registered dietitian there to help me for 16 weeks so that I can change my mindset, change my body, understand my nutrition so that I can take this with me for life. And now I don't have to depend on somebody to make me a meal plan because I know how to do it for myself, right? And so my clients, if they stick with that, they understand exactly how to build their plate and why they're building their plate the way that they are. So now let me know if you have any questions. Hey, Tawana, I don't see any questions in the chat. I want to remind you guys that if you are interested in joining the Fit Figure Formula, you have 5 days. And really, what's today? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I usually don't work on the weekends, y'all. So really, you have 3 days to message me. And if you're watching this and it's Monday, May 15th, I'll take you out if I have room on my calendar on Monday. We could do a call on Monday too, but why wait until that long, right? If you're interested or if you're curious, if you have questions, DM me. You can book a call so that we can talk with the link that's pinned in the comments. You can ask me questions here in the chat. I'd be happy to answer them. And I'm going to see if one of my clients would like to come on live. Y'all know, so this is a group full of perfectionists, and sometimes, I get it, not everyone's comfortable on camera, but if you would want to hear from a client, put it in the chat. If that's something that I would love to hear from a client and hear a client experience, y'all let me know. And if y'all do want to hear that, I will ask some of my clients who might not be as shy to come on and maybe do a live with me, or maybe we'll record it and then put it in the group just so that y'all can hear from a client that has worked with me in 16 weeks. So I'm really, y'all might not believe this, but I'm a very private person. So I don't put my clients on blast. I always like to make sure that, they're comfortable with me sharing what I share. So I always just want to make sure of that. So, all right, y'all. I am done for today. Hopefully that helped you to kind of identify some of the ways that you might have a toxic relationship with food. If that's you, I can help you inside of my program, the Fit Figure Formula. Again, you only have a few more days to book a call, and we get started on Monday. So I will be back soon next week with another live. I'll see you soon.